Okay, hello again, and welcome to our webinar about what's new at the Child and Family Data Archive, also known as CFData. My name is Brenda Mahishi, and I am a project manager at ICPSR, and I'm joined today by my colleague, Abigail O'Keefe. For today's webinar, Abigail and I will be giving a brief overview of CFData for new users and talk about the new look of our website, as well as cover the resources that we have available, including how to access the data and find new data releases at CFData. We'll then close with a brief question and answer session. First, for an overview of CFData. The Child and Family Data Archive is supported by the Administration for Children and Families, ACF, of the United States Department of Health and Human Services, HHS. The contents are those of the authors and do not necessarily represent the official views of, nor an endorsement by ACF, HHS, or the U.S. government. CF data is housed at ICPSR within the University of Michigan. We were launched in 2019 with the mission to preserve and disseminate data on topics related to young children, their families and communities, and the programs that serve them. We provide access to over 400 data sets along with their accompanying documentation, all made available for secondary data analysis. And the best part is that the data are available at no additional charge, making it a great resource for students, professors, and other researchers alike. The type of data that we have in this archive is wide-ranging, including both qualitative and quantitative, and even some video data. We have data on federal and state-funded programs such as Head Start, the Child Care and Development Fund Block Grant, and the Maternal, Infant, and Early Childhood Home Visiting Program. We also have administrative data, community-based surveys focused on parent and child development, including academic-based outcomes, and observational studies in classrooms and homes. Along with all of this data, there are also many resources available to users to help you find the data that best suits your research needs. You can access the CF Data website at www.childandfamilydataarchive.org. On the homepage, you can search for data, view resources, and find ways to contact us. We have over 400 studies, almost 700,000 variables, and over 13,000 publications within our collection to search from. So once you're at the CF Data website, we encourage you to visit the first tab called Getting Started, where we've compiled a quick guide to help get you oriented to the site. There are links to many featured resources that will help you explore the collections, such as introduction videos, infographics, publications, FAQs, and more. And then to find the data at CFData, there are two main ways to search. If you're looking for a particular study or topic area, you can enter your search term in the search bar on the study homepage. The second way is to search for data is under the Data tab. There is a page called Find Data. Similar to the home page, if you know what you're looking for, you can enter your search term under the Search for Data search bar and use the search tips provided on the page to refine your search. Or if you're not quite sure what you're looking for and you want to explore, you can browse the data by looking at some common search terms or keywords found in the data set. Categories include areas related to child development outcomes, child care type, child care workforce, economic assistance and subsidies, and home visiting, just to name a few. There are also several search filters on the search results page to help you find exactly what you need. This includes subject terms, which cover the topic of the study, data format, where you can choose by statistical programs such as SAS, R, Stata, and more. Data type, which refers to quantitative or qualitative. time period, which is the time frame that the data cover, restriction type, so you can filter for public use data if you need, um, author, which is the people who produced the study that the data come from, mode of data collection, such as interview or questionnaire, and finally, recent releases, which is a great way to see the new studies available or also to see recent updates made to existing studies. Other ways to search for data include the variables search and the publication search. The variables tab allows you to search for and compare variables across all the data sets housed at the CFData archive. Currently, that's over 690,000 variables. In the publication search, you can search the ICPSR bibliography for citations that have used data housed at CFData, including journal articles, books, papers, government reports, and more. And then once you've completed your own dissertation or thesis or research publication, you can share your citation with us at bibliography at icpsr.umich.edu and have it included in our bibliography where it will be linked on the study homepage, helping to further disseminate your work. Additional resources under the Resources tab on the CFData website that I want to quickly highlight for you are infographics, which we've developed to help summarize the breadth of studies available. This includes a graphic on studies or series by the age of the child in the study and time methods, such as longitudinal, cross-sectional, repeat cross-sectional, and a graphic grouped by data collection period, time method, and the restriction level of the data set. Next, we also have video resources where we house recorded webinars and past video trainings, including those created by data producers. And now that we've talked about how to search through the collection and choose a study, you can learn more about that chosen study on the study homepage. On the main At a Glance tab, you will find the project description, methodology, weights, and more, information on the access level, and you can start a data application for restricted data from the study homepage. For public data, the Data and Documentation tab is where you can download the data. And for all data access levels, you can also download documentation such as code books, questionnaires, and users' guides from this page. There's also a variable and publication search specific to the study, similar to the variables and publication search that I spoke of earlier. And finally, there is a featured box where you can find any links to videos related specifically to the study. I am now going to pass the presentation over to Abigail, our restricted data application expert, whose name you might recognize from user support and application emails if you've worked with CFData before.
Thank you, Brenda. As Brenda said, my name is Abigail, and I will be talking about how you can access data at CFData. Next slide. CFData hosts a range of data with varying levels of sensitive information. Data with little to no risk of identifying a participant are categorized as public use data. These data are available for download or online analysis instantly. Data with risk of indirect identification of a participant, such as small sample size, protected or vulnerable populations, or requirements of a funding agency or data producer, are characterized as restricted use data and require an application process to access. We restrict data to maintain confidentiality of participants while preserving the viability of the data for research purposes. Next slide. There are different data types available to access from CFData, ranging from low data sensitivity, such as study documentation and variables, to high data sensitivity, such as restricted use data. Accessing study documentation and study variables is a great first step when exploring data and deciding which dataset you may want to download or apply for access to. Study documentation and search variables can be accessed directly on the CFData website instantly. You do not need an ICPSR account to access this information and can find this information by either using the search bar on the Find Data tab or the Variable Search tab on CFData's website. Public use data can be downloaded instantly without an application or can be accessed with the online analysis feature. Accessing public use or restricted use data on CFData first requires users to create an ICPSR account and agree to the terms of use. Lastly, there is restricted use data. Users create an ICPSR account and a restricted data use application to access restricted data. Once an application has been submitted, the CFData staff will complete an initial review within 2 to 4 weeks of application submission. Once approved, access is then valid for 2 years with an option to renew after the initial 2 years. Next slide. The information on how to access data is also available on the CFData website on the How to Access Data tab to assist you in your application process. This page provides an overview of data restriction types archived with CFData, how each data restriction type and accompanying documentation can be accessed, and a general timeline for receiving the data. Next slide. When searching for data on the CFData website, you can search by level of restriction using the restriction type filter on the search results page and selecting the public use data option or the restricted use data option. Next slide. Let's talk about public use data and how to access it. CFData currently has over 200 public use studies that can be accessed by users instantly. Public use data can be accessed in 2 ways: the online analysis feature and regular download. Online analysis is a unique feature available for select studies archived with CFData. With this feature, users can explore and analyze data without downloading the data or even needing statistical software. This feature would be a great tool for instructors during classroom exercises, when exploring the data, or for students analyzing data in statistics workshops. Through online analysis, you can recode and create new variables, perform various types of analysis, produce simple summary statistics for reports, export results for use in spreadsheets and presentations, and create custom subsets of variables or cases for download into an SPSS, SAS, Stata, or a comma-separated dataset from large collections to save time and storage space when using personal computers. Next slide. To find studies archived with CFData that have the online analysis feature, you can use the data format filter on the search results page and select the online analysis option. Next slide. Once you have identified a study with the online analysis feature, you can use the online analysis feature by going to the study's homepage and selecting the Analyze Online SDA button. When you click on the Analyze Online button, a new modal box will open, allowing you to select from a list of available datasets to analyze within that study. Next slide. If you have a stats package that you like using, such as SAS, SPSS, Stata, or R, or if you want to do more complex analyses than what is offered in the online analysis feature, you can download the public use data. You can download public use data from a study's homepage under the Data and Documentation tab, which will display the list of available datasets within that study. To download an available dataset, you can select the Download button next to the dataset, which will open a new modal box and provide you with different data formats of the dataset that you can download. Next slide. Next, let's talk about restricted use data and how to access it. CFData has almost 200 studies that are restricted use, meaning that they contain sensitive information with a potential for indirect identification of a participant. Restricted use data can be accessed in one of three ways depending on the study. One method is secure download. This method is when a user will receive an encrypted file via email upon application approval, which they will download to the secure locations specified in their data security plan. The three data security plans options a user can select from during their application process are a non-networked computer, an encrypted external hard drive, or a local virtual enclave or physical enclave on an isolated network, depending on the approved location specified in the plan. The majority of the restricted use studies at CFData are available via secure download. Another access method is ICPSR's virtual data enclave, in which you will access the data through ICPSR's virtual desktop. Select studies are accessed in ICPSR's virtual data enclave. The last method is ICPSR's physical data enclave. The physical data enclave is located at our ICPSR office here in Ann Arbor, Michigan. The physical data enclave is only for the most sensitive data. CFData currently only has video data from the Mother and Infant Home Visiting Program Evaluation Study for access via the physical data enclave. We encourage users who want to use restricted use data to plan ahead because accessing restricted use data requires some time to submit an application and receive approval. We also recommend that users spend time reviewing the code books and variables to determine whether a restricted use dataset is relevant for your needs before you apply for the data. Next slide. Once you've identified a restricted use study you'd like to access, you can create your application by clicking on the Access Restricted Data button on the study's homepage. The application for restricted use data contains several sections and requires several pieces of information. For example, the restricted data application for secure download data has 8 sections: investigator information, research staff information, research description, data selection, data format, confidential data security plan, IRB review approval, and final signatures. Access to restricted data at CFData requires the principal investigator to hold a terminal degree, such as a PhD, MD, or JD. However, students or other researchers can still access the data by having a sponsor with a terminal degree. Other required information includes a list of any research staff who will be using the data, a description of the intended research project, a data security plan, an IRB letter, and a signed restricted data use agreement. This agreement must be read and acknowledged by the investigator and signed by an institutional representative that can sign binding agreements on behalf of the institution. Once you have completed your application, you will submit the application to ICPSR. Archive staff are available to assist you with your application and to answer any of your questions. Just email us at capital CFD, lowercase ata, -HELP at umich.edu.
Hey, thank you, Abigail. And now we are happy to take a few questions. So feel free to type your question into the Q&A box, or you can raise your hand and we can unmute your mic. I see 2 questions have come in already. The first question I see is, what do you mean by publications? That is a great question. That refers to generally journal articles are a popular one, dissertations, thesis, anything really that a researcher student uses the data for, and you happen to get published in a journal or something, or a chapter, a book, conference presentation. So we just want to make sure that we cite any ways that the data have been used. I don't see any more questions currently in the queue, but you are always welcome to contact us if any other questions come up. So I also wanted to lastly kind of give a reminder of ways that you can stay up to date with CF data and see what's new. So first, we encourage you to bookmark our homepage at childandfamilydataarchive.org and check out the news and events posts on the homepage to keep up with data release announcements, webinar registrations, and CF data conference appearances. Next, the best way to find new studies and updates to existing studies is to filter the search results by recent releases. Third, you can also follow ICPSR social media, including Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Blue Sky, where we share our announcements of data releases and webinars. And lastly, please contact us at cfdata-help@umich.edu with any questions you may have. We are always happy to help. Um, and now we have reached the end of our time together today. And so I'd like to thank you all for joining us. The recording of today's webinar will be available in the ICPSR Data Fair Love Data Week playlist. We invite you to visit ICPSR online, where you'll find the link to the playlist and information on other ICPSR webinars going on this week. So again, thank you all for being here, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your afternoon. Thank you.